Let's get into it. Soul Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan, Eddie Bravo, and they're having a conversation where something's happened that hasn't happened in a long time. Joe Rogan does not discredit, interrupt, or cut off Eddie Bravo while he gives his thoughts on the whole Epstein conspiracy. Not even a conspiracy. It's a real case. It really happened. Everybody knows it. But we're still, for some reason, thinking, this can't possibly be as real as blah, 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 blah. But Eddie Bravo drops a name at the end of his rant that made me rethink the whole thing of what happened with Epstein. Now, you're going to come with me on a little content ride, okay? I'm going to show you the Joe Rogan clip. They're going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel. I'm going to show you the Jimmy Kimmel clip. I'm going to show you Jimmy Kimmel's reaction to what Aaron Rodgers said about him. I'm going to let you decide for yourselves. You'll understand when you actually watch the clip. Then I'm going to play a clip of Chris Tucker. This clip blows my mind. Chris Tucker discussing his connection with Jeffrey Epstein. Then we're going to go into some other stuff about a man who I think Jeffrey Epstein actually inherited his whole empire from. That's what I think actually happened. Let's get into it right now. Don't forget about IamCoachColin.com. We got Soul Not For Sale. We got different designs. We got the originals. We got Public Enemy #1. We got it right here. And if you want a closer look, all you got to do is look at the shirt that I'm wearing currently. Discount code is IamCoachColin. All capital letters, all one word. 1 L in the name Colin. Let's go.
Eddie the Indian out yet or no?
No, not at all.
No, he's calmed down.
Dude.
You didn't tell him nothing about fucking Epstein Island?
Nothing.
You killed
Nothing
him.
I don't already know.
This think real quick. That's is
What?
this an actor? Is there an actor on the show?
What'd you say?
No, I don't know what's going on anymore.
Since
What
CJ
happened
Wiley
with
was
our
played
boy?
Different guy.
What happened
That's
with your boy
different guy.
Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, so did they have like
Jimmy Kimmel? What happened?
reenactments?
Yeah, I think so.
They did? Oh, they had reenactments? Ew.
Maybe he's telling the story and he's like, "This is what happened to me when I was."
Oh, so he had some guy play him?
Back in
That's
the
funny. I
70s.
bet that guy can't play. You can't have somebody play CJ Wiley if they can't play
So that
pool.
motherfucker said Kimmel was on the list?
No, it got taken out of context. He goes, Jimmy's hoping the list doesn't come out because a bunch of his buddies are on the list.
Well,
he never said he's on the list.
that's a very charitable implication. I would say he's saying that he's on the list.
No, did you watch the actual clip?
But what he said, I bet Jimmy Kimmel doesn't want that list to come out.
Because of, people on the left and a bunch of his friends are on
Did he
that
say
list.
that specifically?
If you watch like the whole build-up, and even when he didn't even apologize to Jimmy, he's like, I know the connotations if I said you're on the list. I never said you're on the list.
Oh,
You're hoping
so
the
it's
list doesn't
taken
come
out of
'cause you're
context?
boys, yeah. And that's why he goes, I'm not going to apologize because you took it out of context.
Interesting.
I never said you're actually on the list. You're hoping it doesn't come out because the people that are on the list. And not even that, before he kept saying, because when Aaron Rodgers said there's a list coming out, he's been saying for months, almost a year, Jimmy started calling him a conspiracy guy and, this fake list. So he's like, you're hoping the list doesn't come out because then I'm right because you kept making fun of me saying there's a list. That's why I said that. You're making fun of Aaron.
Well, that seems so crazy to think there's not a list.
That's why Jimmy
there
said he's a tinfoil hat guy.
There's a
conspiracy
lady
theory.
in jail for sex trafficking.
And Jimmy would acknowledge
to no one. Like, there's no one who's been arrested that she sex trafficked to.
And that's what Aaron said.
Well, there's a list that's out. Who knows if it's fake? I don't know. It could be a fake list. Who
could
knows?
have poor fucking handicap guy on the
But
front.
Chris Tucker's on that list. And they asked Chris Tucker on a podcast, what's up with you being on the list? He didn't do what Jimmy Kimmel said. Jimmy Kimmel said it's a fake list. Who cares what that list says? It's fake.
Right.
Chris Tucker goes, yeah, I did go on that flight, but we went to Africa and I went with a bunch of diplomats. I didn't know who this fucking Epstein guy was. Like Chris Tucker says, like, I had no idea. We were on this plane. We were going to Africa, do some diplomatic shit. And turns out he's a pedophile. I didn't know.
Well, they definitely got people connected to him by using famous people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because,
So,
like,
my
if
point
you
was,
find out-
Chris Tucker basically
Confirmed
that the list was like legit because he's on it.
Right. There's this dude that was inviting me to this conference once, and he was like, Kanye West is going to be there. I'm like, oh, Kanye West is going to be there. Next thing you know, you're there, right?
Yes.
And if you don't know who's there, and some dude, this was just a conference, it was like a tech conference. And they wanted me to come and talk about like the influence of social media and podcasting and shit. I was like, I talk about that all the time. When am I going to go there? But point is, they were trying to lure me by saying that some famous dude I
big
know is going to
names.
be there. So if you hear, like, oh my God, Richard Dawkins is going to be there.
You think it's safe?
Yeah, all these famous people are going to be there. World leaders are going to be there.
What was Stephen Hawkins doing on that list so much?
Stephen Hawkins was a freak. He used to go to strip clubs.
Really?
Yeah, because he could feel, but he couldn't move. You know who told me about that? Eric Weinstein. Weinstein told me about that back in the day. He would go to like swingers clubs. He would lay there, and they all gyrate on him. Because it probably felt good, and he can't move, but he could feel. He had Lou Gehrig's disease, so his body
Their
just.
dicks still get hard though.
I bet. I mean, he's not stupid. He's smart as shit. He just can't move.
It's crazy because to go to the effort to blackmail Stephen Hawking?
Well,
like, you know how easy that would be if like you really want to blackmail
I don't know if that's what they were doing.
He had a bunch of handlers though.
But you know what I'm saying? How easy? The guy's in a wheelchair. He can't even move.
But you got to
could
think
put
of
him
it
in any
as-
situation.
Right.
And what is he going to do? Say, stop. Like, we're going to wheel you in. You're on this island. That, like,
Now, you have to think of it in terms of a long picture. Like, what is the picture? If you have esteemed scientists, Nobel laureates, scholars, all these different world leaders, bankers, famous singers, famous actors, they're all there. So that's the way you get people to do it. You invite people to this immense, lavish celebration that with intellectual world leaders, geniuses. And you think, well, how could it be bad if all these geniuses are there?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're doing yayo, and you got some girl from some Eastern Bloc country that's rubbing your and you don't know that she's 16, and she takes you in a room, and the room is filled with cameras. That's what they do.
blackmail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think
what it's all about.
we're probably facing the effects of that right now. I bet there's decisions that were made, there's influence that got moved around, there's people that support a certain narrative because they were on that list.
Wasn't that what I was saying all day today?
Has to be.
I think everything that's going on right now in the world is linked to Jeffrey Epstein. That's what I think. I think
Everything?
I think everything, man.
Maui?
Trump shit, everything.
Everything.
Everything?
Who's
UFOs?
connected? Who, like, I don't
Gaza?
know. Yeah.
Well, you know,
yeah,
look,
all of it. All of
Since
it.
I met you, we've discussed UFOs. UFOs have been around. They've been talking about them since Jesus left Chicago.
Right.
But the last 3 fucking years, everybody's seeing fucking UFOs.
Yeah.
How about that Miami shit? Come on.
Miami.
Come on, dog.
The
Miami
people
shit
who
was-
did
Come on,
coke
dog.
for 40 years.
Yeah.
That's what you saw. You didn't see no fucking aliens. But that's what they're selling all over. Now people from the Navy.
It's a distraction.
All of a sudden, all these pilots. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going here and they were
so
driving
fake.
right next to me,
Yeah,
waving
it's
at
so
me.
fake.
Really? And now you decide to fucking tell me.
This is what I think.
Tell me.
There's a lot of important people that were on that list, right?
Right.
A lot from all over the world.
Right.
Politics,
Music,
Hollywood, music,
actors,
You saw the list is out,
intellectuals,
dog. No, it's right there.
physicists.
No
Chris
athletes.
Tucker
Yep.
pretty much said it was real.
Yep.
Not that everybody on the list did shit. Who knows? It would be easy to, like you said, drag. Like if in the '90s or in the 2000s, if people would have liked my music and I would have had a record deal, thank God nobody liked it.
And if somebody said,
somebody
hey, you want to
let's
come
go,
to the island?
Let's go to an island, dog. There's a billionaire. He's got a bunch of bitches there. We're gonna party. I think I would have went, dog. You know what I mean? Then you go,
Right. And you're
right?
talking to a
you
scientist.
go, and then you're like, dude, people brought their kids. You're like, no, dude, those are the bitches. Like, oh shit,
No,
I'd be on
wait
a
a
fucking
minute, wait a
kayak,
minute.
dog. I'd be on a fucking kayak. Where's Miami, dog? How far is Florida?
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think this UFO thing is? What do you think the UFO?
I
thing
think
is?
okay, no.
But
The
I'm
point
asking
is,
Joey.
no.
Listen.
This is the point.
Okay,
This is the
okay,
point. My
okay.
point is, the people that are on the list would rather, like, if they had a choice, you want to go to jail for this shit as a pedophile, or would you rather have World War III? Would you rather have fucking civil war? Would you rather have a fake alien invasion where the world changes, like the whole world changes right away? What would you go? Would you rather go to Guantanamo Bay? Would you rather go to prison, or would you rather have World War III, Mad Max, alien invasion? That's what I think. World War III would save them. Alien invasion would save them, and a civil war will save them. So they want all that shit, dog.
Anarchy.
They want all that. They want complete chaos, so they don't go to jail. That's what I think.
I don't like that the list only released 300 people. A lot more than 300 people on that fucking island. And I think they took the bottom half. Like
Was there really 300 people on that list?
I don't know.
That's what
I don't know
heard.
if the official list has been released, has it?
Yeah, I no. Who knows? The list could be fake. The list could be fake.
They're
But-
just releasing a list, but they're still covering up the fucking.
But Chris Tucker, he basically said he didn't deny it. He said, yeah,
Right. He
was
said he
just
flew
saying,
with Jeffrey Epstein to Africa, but he didn't say he went to the island. I think
Exactly.
the people that went to the island, that's where things get real weird.
That's
no,
the
but you
list
could
we
go,
want.
you
And
could
he
go to the
also-
island and not know either.
And he also
like,
had a place in Manhattan. He was famous for having big parties at this house in Manhattan that he got
The
from
most
the guy who
expensive-
owned Victoria's Secrets.
The most expensive mansion.
Guy gave him this
$75
mansion.
million mansion.
There was other guys that were like these big hedge fund guys that gave him like $100 million. Gave it to him.
And they can't track why.
Yeah.
Nobody
it's
knows
he's
why he
helping
was
me
so
with my
powerful.
money. He
And
did a
then
great
also
job
Trump's on
helping
the
me with my
list,
money.
but Trump was like, nah, we hitched a ride to Trump Towers.
What you got to look
Atlantic
into,
City.
what you got to look into is Ghislaine Maxwell was
Yeah.
his partner, but Ghislaine Maxwell's
Ghislaine.
father, or what the fuck, Ghislaine?
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine.
Look into her father, Robert Maxwell.
Yeah.
All the answers are right there.
Because he was a spy, yeah?
Comes up in this Tetris movie that came out recently, which is pretty
Dude.
interesting. The
What
start
is
of
it?
Look into
Jamie,
her
what?
father.
Hold on, what?
There's a
Jamie?
movie on like Apple TV about like how Tetris was made.
game?
It's kind of a fun
It's supposed to be a
documentary,
really
but
good
like
movie.
they cut to this guy that's running half of the shit, and it's Robert Maxwell. That's who he is. He's this guy that controls all sorts of shit in England. He's the broker between these Russians and whoever the fuck controlled Tetris. It was very strange. But
Look
this was
into
like
that,
the
though.
80s.
All right. I'm going to look into it. All right. This is fun. This is
Joe didn't have to push back. You know it's really bad when Jamie's like, yeah, hey, you know, what Eddie's saying I think is pretty cool. Let me just interject here and add to what Eddie's saying. Now, that was the whole thing. Robert Maxwell. Now, we're going to get into him near the end, but right away, they brought up Chris Tucker being on that list. Yes, he was, but good God. He was just on the list, just going to Africa, right? That's all. Just going to Africa. No. Let's hear it directly from Chris's mouth. Let's hear it directly from Chris Tucker. He was on a podcast, and this old guy in the corner, here, let me make sure I can point. This old guy in the corner just decides to ask him a question out of nowhere. Just nowhere, unprompted. Chris did not know this question was coming. Shout out to this old man. I'm finding this on a web page or a YouTube channel called All Urban Central. Here, let's play this. Listen to who Chris Tucker was traveling with, real quick.
You knew Jeffrey Epstein, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. You know, we flew Bill Clinton and a lot of different. Well, that was a humanitarian trip to Africa, and I met him on that trip because it was his plane. I didn't know who plane we was getting on, but it was a whole bunch of dignitary people. We was with a delegation, and yeah, I met him, and you know, you don't know people what they do in their private lives, so yeah.
But tell me this, Chris. You was on this private plane, and you could tell that it was a private plane because they called it, was it Lolita Express?
Oh yeah, it was a private plane. Yes. Oh yes.
But wait a minute. You didn't never go to that island, did you?
No. I don't know where that thing at. No. I don't think. Hey, we was going to Africa to save lives.
All right, speaking of the things, you actually had, okay, speaking of some controversial things, you were there when Kanye said George Bush.
Bro, who cares about George Bush? Don't care about black people. What are you talking about? This guy, he derails the whole thing for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because he asked Chris to be on the podcast. But Chris was flying with Bill Clinton. Now, I'm not just going to throw somebody under the bus. But you were with Bill Clinton? Hey, man. You were with this guy? Get out of here, bro. Go to jail. Someone send him to jail. So you guys can take that for what I just wanted you guys to get the full context there. So that's actually what happened. He was with Bill Clinton going to Africa to save lives. Hey. Listen, I know I sound like a white guy. Okay, I know. But I love black people. But listen, this black guy, that black guy right there, hey, you're a liar. Anyway, let's move on. You're a liar. You were with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton? Okay, sure. And you're best friends with Michael Jackson? Nah, we're not doing this. Now, let's move on. Jimmy Kimmel and Aaron Rodgers. I didn't know they had this kind of beef going on. Now, Aaron Rodgers was on a podcast and he said some stuff about Jimmy Kimmel, and then there was some backlash towards that. So I'm going to play you what he said first and then show you the actual backlash. I didn't realize this was a thing going on between the two of them. Here, let's go.
On it.
You have Super Bowl 58.
You'll see it.
The emblem, put it on the screen. And then bring up 57 and 56.
This has something to do with the Epstein list that came out?
Feels like
That's supposed to be coming out soon.
Look, this guy's been waiting in his wine cellar. Yeah. I've been waiting in my wine cellar for this thing.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
All right. Obviously, a clip from this particular program was run on Jimmy Kimmel's show. Whenever Aaron brought up the list, and then Jimmy mocked him for it. Mm-hmm. Aaron has not forgotten about that, but here we are sitting.
So that's basically what happened. Now, they were arguing about the context of that. Now, I think Joe was right in this whole thing. I think Aaron Rodgers is basically saying Jimmy Kimmel's on the list. That's what it sounds like to me. A lot of people don't want this list to come out, including Jimmy Kimmel. Like, that's why. And it's probably because when he was on his show, Jimmy kept mocking him when he would bring up the list. I don't know. I don't know about that whole thing. And the reason that I'm saying I don't know is because of this next video I'm about to show you guys. Here, let's get into this.
Earth on late night host Jimmy Kimmel insinuating he will appear on the list of names that will be linked to child predator Jeffrey Epstein. Jimmy Kimmel responding to Rogers saying the following: "Dear expletive. For the record, I've not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with Epstein, nor will you find my name on any quote-unquote list other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brain wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger. Keep it up, and we will debate the facts further in court." Fox News contributor and columnist for The Messenger, Joe Colin.
So basically, Jimmy Kimmel is threatening. That's why now Aaron Rodgers has changed his tune and he's saying, I wasn't saying you were on the list. I was just saying your friends, people that you're close to were on the list. And that's the reason why you don't want it to come out. But to me, it sounds it's pretty clear cut that he was saying, hey, you're on that list and you're shaking in your boots kind of thing. And you know what? I don't want to go to court with Jimmy Kimmel. I can't afford those bills. But I will say this. When you go on the attack like that, when you say that you've never been on any quote unquote list and that the only real list, the only list that you might be on is a fake list, well, that's just everybody's play. Everybody's play that's going to be on this list is going to be like, oh, that's fake. Oh, that's fake. What, did you find that on the internet? I used to have a friend who used to say that all the time. All the time. He'd be like, what, did you find that on the internet? And I remember one day one of my friends was like, you mean the biggest library of information that the world has ever seen? Yeah, I found it there. Is there a problem? What do you like? And then you're calling them soft brain wackos. So basically, you know, he's still in that 2020 mentality. Remember when you could just be like, oh, if you don't do this, you're dumb. If you don't do this, you're racist. If you don't do, he's going with that same mentality. Anybody who believes in any list that's brought out that I'm on, oh, you're a soft brain wacko. Like, so ridiculous. But anyways, let's get to Robert Maxwell. Who was Robert Maxwell and what happened to him? Now, Robert Maxwell was Jocelyn, whatever her name was. I'm with Eddie Bravo. I don't know how to say her name. Jocelyn Maxwell. This is a very interesting case. This makes me really realize, if you look at what's going on with Robert Maxwell, right? So who is he? It's her father. What happened to him? He passed away. Very odd circumstances. He was on his yacht. Okay. Some people say that he had a heart attack. Some people say that he just jumped off the boat and just like ended it himself. There's been a lot of speculation. No one's really resting on any one thing that happened for him to pass away, which is very, very interesting. Now, let me just keep going a little bit, just so you can see the guy. This is actually him, right? He led the same type of life as his daughter and Jeffrey Epstein. The guy was a media mogul, like a British media mogul, right? He used to get together, exactly what Joe said about Epstein, scientists, scholars, famous people, actors, singers. He would get them all together for parties and gatherings, and he had all these connections. But here's the thing, because I was saying, many people were saying, Jeffrey Epstein was a spy, an Israeli spy, Mossad. The same thing is being said about Robert Maxwell. So it kind of makes me think, as I start reading about this guy, is that Jocelyn and Jeffrey, they didn't create this whole network. They were just taking up the family business. It seems like, I don't know, but it's kind of, Jeffrey has the exact same story as Robert. He was rich beyond belief. No one could really understand why. He got all these people together. He had all these connections throughout media and academia, science, like everything, politics. He had all these connections. Then one day, it seemed like his back was against the wall and he passed away. Exact same thing happened with Robert. the exact same connections to Mossad. Now this article is just about how this murky life shaped his daughter. I really think it did. I think she took up the reins. Now, whether Epstein was actually the one running things or she was, who really knows? But the thing about it is, if there was anything to run, it was probably given to them by her father, who, in my opinion, after looking into this a little bit, I don't think he died. I don't even think he passed. I don't think he did it himself. I don't think he passed away at all. It's too weird. Here, let's play this. Now, here's what might happen, okay? I might say, let's play this, and it might just cut to me talking because I might have to trim it out because sometimes they just don't let me play certain things because of the music. It's and he was working with Israeli intelligence. Like, this guy was connected beyond belief. And then his daughter just happens to be doing something that, in terms of connections, is on the exact same level, if not higher. But instead, it's focused mainly on the United States, as far as we know. We don't even know that for sure. So I was going through a bunch of articles, and I had them broken down into point form notes here. So I did 2 articles, four articles total, but 2 were the focus. And each one, when I went for cause of death, it was either heart attack or he did it himself. No one can come to a clear conclusion, which is why I don't think it was either. So he concealed his true identity, changed his name, and denied his religion. I believe he had a Jewish religion. So he denied his religion, which to me would be like, oh, okay, so this guy probably was Mossad. But if you're going KGB and you're playing around with MI6, you deny your religion, it actually helps you quite a bit. Just so weird. Became a global publishing tycoon, MP in Britain, and a known figure in the British socialites and whatnot, and in international circles, rumored to be a spy for Israel or Britain. They don't even know. This guy is exactly like Epstein. He just has this weird life shrouded in mystery. Now, again, if I say, hey, I'm going to play this video, and then all of a sudden it cuts to me talking, I'll let you know. Now, let me just break down that video in case you didn't get to see it. There's 2 gentlemen that were talking in that video. The first one was the Russian. He was a Russian, and he was the former head of the KGB. And he is saying this about Robert Maxwell. So for me, that's good enough information. I don't think that guy's lying. Just saying. The second person was actually an MI6 officer who was also acknowledging that they were working with Robert Maxwell. What is happening? This is crazy. Now, I'm going to play another video. It might just cut. You know what? I'll just explain the video. Because all this music and all this copyright stuff, it's so annoying. So basically, this guy was saying that the night that Robert went out on his boat, he knew that he had 3 things that he was up against. Basically, it's like shit hit the fan. And these pensioners, because he stole a bunch of pension money in London. So this pension committee was coming after him. This other organization was coming after him, and a third organization. He knew all 3 were coming after him. And that same night is the night that he just conveniently passes away. In my mind, that's the time, if you have connections to the KGB, MI6, and Mossad, that's the night I decide I'm going to disappear. Bye-bye. That's it. I'll contact my daughter when the time is right. Disappear. Done. Now, if you look, Jeffrey Epstein kind of had the same thing. He had all these weird connections. No one really understood who he was, where he was from, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, he's in jail, going to be sentenced. All these names are going to be released because they want him to actually fess up to who he was actually, trafficking people to, and conveniently passes away. I don't know. Very interesting. But I don't know, man. It makes me rethink the whole thing. Again, I'll go back to what I said. I don't think that Jeffrey and Ghislaine actually created this operation. I think they inherited it. And I think that they were actually interacting with the real live Robert Maxwell, because I don't think he ever passed away. That's just me. You let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, share. It helps tremendously when you share. You have no idea. And other than that, I'm out.